Greetings and welcome to the show. A Better Official is live for Basketball Rules Expert. Are we super excited? Yes. Yes, we are super excited. Been working on the show. Remember, we put it in pieces. It was on the garage floor. We've started to cobble things together in the past few weeks. And today, it's like you put something together and now we have to turn it on and see if it works. We will see. The proof, as always, is in the pudding. Just like your crew gets together, you have the great pregame, and you're thinking, man, we are going to nail this. You go out on the floor, and things can go sideways on you. I hope everybody had a great game since we last spoke. I had a really interesting game last night. Tell me how your recent games went as well. It was obviously going to be a difference in styles. We had a super young, athletic team and a more mature, stronger, and more size on the other side. So we're going to have a clash of styles in our game. Anytime we have that, it's always going to be interesting how we officiate the game and how it's perceived that we're officiating the game. The young pressing team, are they going to have more fouls as a result of their pressing, as opposed to the larger team, which maybe sits back and lets their size take over? But in this case, the young athletic team was just too quick, and forced the more lumbering physical team into many mistakes early, and basically turned it into a rout early. It was probably 30-10 at some point at the end of the first period even. It was like a lot of steals, a lot of layups, and what have you. So I had that. I had a couple of collegiate games over the weekend that were good games. One was, a lot of fouls in the first half. It got better as it went on. So let us know in the chat what's going on with you. Who is here today? Mike Connors, bringing it from Tampa, Florida, bright and early. We do have our Christmas tree up here in the A Better Official World Headquarters, here in the beautiful San Francisco Bay Area. Good morning, Chris Janish. Hope all is well with you. Chris just keeps pumping the plays into the pipeline for 5-Play Friday. We will see how that goes. Let's see. I don't know that we're actually 34 degrees. I have to set that manually in my little bug here at the top. I wonder what the actual temperature is. Maybe I'll get a comment from somewhere else in the building here at A Better Official World Headquarters with what our actual temperature is. Martin Tim, happy Wednesday to you as well. Mark Harvey bringing the first sounding from Kentucky. Hope all is well. And I want to know what time Mike Goodwin gets up. I inadvertently woke up too early this morning, which was probably a good thing in terms of getting that show together. But yes, I was up bright and early. Mike, I saw you on Facebook at the time. What time do you get up? I know it's earlier in the morning. It's not 7 a.m. in the morning in Alaska. I think it's like 6 or 5. Holy cow. Oh, Randy, first year official from Kansas. Excellent. Thank you for watching. And glad to have you amongst the officialhood, the brotherhood of officials. Tim Swenson from Wyoming. Good to see you. And, of course, Darwin Sonata bringing that Go Blue energy from our Michigan contingent. Thomas Hickey from Milwaukee. Second year officiating. Excellent. Middle school, you're going to see all of the things. All of the things occur in middle school games. And Mark Asmussen, what are you doing in the Bay Area? Right? That would be weird. In real life? Oh. Yeah, check your blocks, firm your blocks. Assigners are this time of year in December, tournaments, availability issues for officials, etc., officials will, assigners will fight to claw through to find any possible availability you have and fill it up. Got to protect yourself, or just be responsible, right? Step number one, be responsible. Have accurate blocks in your arbiter so that that's something that we can control, right? And as a young official, as a first-year official, et cetera, your availability, having that right is really critical so that your assigners know that they can trust you. When you say you are available, they will give you an assignment. They don't want the process of then turning back and saying, oh, wait a minute, I didn't realize I had a social event on that day and I hadn't blocked it, et cetera. That's really kind of on us. Obviously there's some flexibility in an assigner's mind after they have experience with you, but as a new official especially, you got to nail that stuff down. Don't want to give unwelcome surprises to your assigner, because the unassigning and finding a replacement is laborious effort on their end. So be a good citizen. Control what you can control. Daryl, good to see you on the live stream this morning from Ohio. What do you got going temperature-wise there? Yes, I don't, on time, right? Earlier a mention of the under. I don't think, well, I guess the under is relative to whatever the line was. We were on time today. Yes, we started right on time. Well, Tim, moved to Minnesota. Varsity games use the restricted area. Yeah. The challenge, of course, is that everybody, especially coaches, they watch basketball at other levels. So they, are very familiar with the way the game is called collegiately and in the NBA, et cetera, which does have a restricted area. And then we have a play in high school where a kid's, right under the basket attempting to take a charge. Boom, obviously displaced. We make the proper high school ruling of a charge, and it's like, he was under the basket, right? There's that energy that comes into place. But I will say, Tim, careful what you wish for. Restricted area plays are challenging and on their face and difficult for crews to officiate properly. I can say that from experience, working on the NCAA women's side. So, yes. Billy Mack, well, we are ready to go now. If Billy Mack is in the house, good to see you. Oh, Mike. Oh, I see. Work for an East Coast company living in Alaska. Wow. That has to present some challenges, especially in terms of you have a game, right? And I assume games, I'm making an assumption that games in Alaska would start at 6:30, 7:30. That may be an erroneous assumption. I don't know what you guys have going up there with daylight and et cetera. But that must, one of the challenges we face, that I face with the early morning show is, have a game last night, starts at 7, done probably at 8:15. I'm home at 9:15, 9:30, right? We have to wind down to some extent, get to bed, etc. So that must be really challenging for you, Mike, in terms of evening games and having to be present for your East Coast company. Something's missing. Hold on a second. My elite tech team did not check the pregame lighting. All right, now we're ready to go. Dave Craig from Rochester. 50-point blowout. Do you have a running clock rule in Minnesota? Minnesota seems forward-thinking. I'm going to guess yes. Yes, you do. Let me know. Dakota Ted, the South Dakota contingent is growing. Season's greetings to all. Phil Haddad from Pennsylvania. Robert Gaylor, Wheeling, West Virginia. All right. And Richard Stinnett from OKC. Well, we got a very broad spectrum of the country covered here. Not much doubling up. Casey from Kansas. And Billy Mack says Mike Goodman can see Santa from his back porch. I thought that was Russia that you can see from your back porch when you're in Alaska. All right. Wow. That's what you want. That's what you want. 98, 97. Of course, you know, the close games, end of game scenario brings all of our skills to bear, all of our awareness, clocks, timeouts, starting and stopping clocks, timeout requests when players are in distress or after made baskets, etc., anticipating what the strategy is in those end-of-game scenarios. All of our skills come to bear. The contrast, of course, between what we do is Dave Craig has the 50-point blowout, probably in a high school game maybe, and then in a JUCO game, a 1-point game, right? We officiate the spectrum. We use all of our skills differently in each of those scenarios. Right? In the 50-point game, are we going to call it in the same fashion as the 1-point game? Maybe. Maybe not. Consistency. Memphis is in the house. Good to see you, Johnny. Love it. Love it. Love a great game. It's rewarding, right? It's rewarding as a crew, knowing the job that we did for the game, allowing the game to get to that point and end in a natural fashion, etc. Takes our skills. Oh, okay. All right. A Better Official World headquarters checks in. We're pretty close. 36 degrees here in the beautiful Bay Area, in my part of the Bay Area. Cole, top of the morning to you. Yeah. Martin got his reward for the blowout game with 2 competitive games. Hey, Sue is in the house. Sue Mahakian, collegiate official that I work with, and she's tremendous. Good to see you, Sue, on the live stream, bright and early. Woo, get up. Oy, oy, oy. So Johnny has a situation. Team was down 10, 2.5 minutes to go in the game, and one of their players fouled out. He refused to sub another player until the full 60 seconds had passed. How is this handled? It is handled differently than the full 60 seconds passing, right? So National Federation of High School changed the rule, the time for a replacement of a sub from 20 seconds to 15 seconds several years ago, because coaches would take advantage of this opportunity to act out. That's basically the bottom line, is they want to act out in this situation. They want to bring their players over for a timeout. They want to have their hands on their hips and not take any action, thinking that they have a certain amount of time. But their job is to give us a replacement player and that substitute entering the game. So it's really important that you have a pregame with your table and you outline this scenario and say, look, if we have a disqualified player, I'm going to ask you for a horn, and then you're going to start a 15-second interval, right? Like a 60-second timeout, like a 30-second timeout, now this is a 15-second replacement interval. And we need to be accurate here. Don't give me that second horn early. Give me that second horn. At that second horn, that head coach is potentially liable for a technical foul for failing to replace the disqualified player within 15 seconds of being informed. How we manage those situations is important. In this game, we have a situation where the game is essentially decided, you could say, not necessarily, but essentially decided, and the coach wants to act out here, right? So our role is to turn that up. Is to inform the coach, that player has 5. I need a substitute. Turn to the table, give me a horn, right? That horn puts the coach on the clock. He's got 15 seconds to replace. and then we get a subsequent second horn at 15 seconds, right? At that point, if they have not produced a sub, they are at risk there of being assessed a technical foul. That's the bottom line. There's no gray area in this instance. Now, we could manage that a little bit differently and say, Coach, I need a sub. And at that point, they do not produce that sub. It's like, no, I've got more time. I want, boom, technical foul, direct on the head coach. And then they're going to, act out a little bit more, etc. But we still need that substitute to get into the game. If they fail in that instance, no, I'm not going to produce a substitute. Then they are at risk of the game being forfeited at that point. If we had a forfeit in that point with a 10-point lead, that would be the final score. The opponent 53, them 43, etc. Right? They are essentially making a mockery of the game at that point. Now we want to work our way through that and walk that coach off the ledge, but that is the bottom line. If they fail to produce a sub, it is a direct technical foul by rule. This is a point of emphasis. When the rule change is the NFHS says we don't want coaches, essentially wasting time in this situation. Produce a sub. That's the purpose here. It's not a timeout. You don't get to, act out and play act. But key takeaways. Inform your crew. This will happen. And sometimes coaches will take this opportunity to behave in a certain fashion. So we need to be sharp and excellent with our timing. Don't come early with a second horn. Give me the opportunity to manage the situation, etc. So that's a long answer to a situation, but familiarity with how to handle those situations is important. Our game, we're trying to guide it into its final destination. But we need to keep officiating, and if coaches act in a fashion that's outside the boundaries, then they are at risk for a technical foul, and if they continue after that, they are at risk of something greater. Scotty is in the house. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, it would be a technical, yes. Karina in the house, second-year official from Alabama. We have all of the states in the show this morning. It's tremendous. Excellent. Good to see you, Karina. Dave Craig, yes. Okay. In the last 9 minutes of the second half, 20-minute halves, 18-minute halves, 20-minute halves, something like that. Yeah. That's the way it goes. I saw some mention of it. I have not seen the fight in question. Austin Freeberg, can you address a technical foul after a quarter and how it affects the start of the next quarter or overtime? So simply put, play end of the first period, last second try for goal. Player thinks they were fouled, and one ref, and one call the foul. Right? There's zeros on the clock in that situation, and the official assesses a technical foul. Has all of the activity from the previous period ended? That's the key question. This is not a situation where there's time left on the clock, or there's no time on the clock, and free throws are going to be attempted. Let's say due to a last-second foul, and the defender thinks that it should not have been a foul and says something that rises to the level of a technical foul. If all activity in that period is completed, then we will begin the next period with the administration of that foul. Essentially, that foul has occurred, that technical foul has occurred within the next period, right? That's the general rule. First period to second period to third period to fourth period. Now, at the end of the expiration of time in the fourth period, that we could potentially handle things differently. If the score is such that a technical foul that occurs after time has expired in the fourth period, if the score is such that the result of the technical foul free throws could change whether or not one team wins or loses, assuming the score is not tied, right? If the score is tied and that technical foul occurs, let's make it simple, that is part of the subsequent period. But if it's not tied, if we are within 1 or 2 points, and the technical foul free throws could affect whether or not one team wins or loses, or whether we go to overtime, then in that one instance, those technical foul free throws are considered part of the fourth period. So that's a unique scenario, and obviously one that we want to get right. End of game scenario, critical that we are correct. So I'm going to get rid of that. And we're going to get started with this show. All this yammering. We are 23 minutes in. Stephen Jones in the house, back from Colorado Springs. Excellent. Hey, I will tell every partner and every coach early in the season, it is preseason for everybody. We are shaking rust. Absolutely. Oh, of course, Mississippi jumping in. Excellent. Thomas says, Johnny, in the timeout scenario, it is a direct on the head coach. It is a direct on the head coach. If they fail to produce a replacement for a disqualified player within the 15-second interval. Okay, so Tommy says, tell the coach if he or she wants to discuss it, call a timeout. Maybe after the disqualified player. This game will not proceed at all in any way, shape, or form until that player is replaced. Until we have a substitute to replace the disqualified player, we will not grant timeouts to either team. We will not bring additional subs in. We've reached an impasse. We need a resolution to this before anything can happen next. The doctor is in the house. We are ready to go. Louisiana, we are dominating the South today. Tremendous. Anybody from Georgia? Come on now. 2 18-minute halves in Minnesota. Gotcha. Oh! Daryl brings the unique intentional foul on a missed three-point try. How do you administer it properly? Is it 3 shots in the ball or 5 shots in the ball? And where are we administering the ball afterward? All right, excellent question. Excellent to have the scenario, right? Because there's the three-point try that misses is the sort of the asterisk on the play. So an intentional foul, the ruling is always 2 free throws and the ball for the offended player and the ball to the team at the spot nearest the foul. Except in one instance where the intentional foul occurs during a 3-point try that misses, and then it will be 3 free throws to the offended player or their eligible substitute if they were injured, and the ball to the team at the spot nearest the foul. So if that 3-point try had gone in, it's 3 points and 2 free throws. If the 3-point try misses, it's 3 free throws, offended player or their eligible substitute, and the ball to the team at the spot. I don't think I've ever had, although I did have a hard foul on a 3-point try in my game recently, like a week ago, where it was, well, what are you doing, right? The team was ahead, and why are you clubbing? Didn't rise to intentional, though, but it's great that you had that, Daryl, that exception. Okay. My annual don't know why that resets. I just don't know. It's a mystery. It's a mystery. All right. Excellent. Excellent. So a 5-play Friday play where a player saves the ball back onto the court, reestablishes in the play scenario we had, picks up the ball again and dribbles, illegal by rule. Sounds like Phil had a player gaining control, going out of bounds, come back, and then begins or continues. And did not, I assume, did not gather the ball again. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, well, let me do this. That was weird. I don't know what it came through. My camera froze. I've never had that occur. Oh, I see. I see. Huh. Call the Go team. The Go team? No. All right. Cool. All right. Give me a moment. Give me a moment to collect my thoughts before we get started on the show. Yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. All right, there's 3 restarts in the game of basketball. The jump ball, the throw-in, and free throws. Today we're going to look at play scenarios involving restarts. Let's get started. Stick around. Greetings and welcome back to the Basketball Rules Expert. We're here to look at play scenarios, talk about all the things rules related. Let's get started today with our very... Wait a minute. Mm-hmm. Hmm. We're here to keep our saw sharp, as it were. National Federation of High School Basketball Rules, staying connected with the rules, fleshing out the areas where we're inconsistent, and sharpening our saw. Let's get started today and look at our very first play scenario. During the jump ball to start overtime, jumper A1 bats the toss, which caroms off the tossing official's head high into the air. A1 then jumps and catches the ball before it touches the floor. The officials rule this to be a jump ball violation. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? It's not something you see every day. We do see on jump balls players oftentimes swinging hard. Sounds like in this instance they contacted the ball. The ball bounces off the official's head high up into the air. The ball's still live. Our jumper jumps up, grabs the ball. The officials rule a violation. We know that a jumper cannot grab a jump ball before the jump ball ends, right? It's very logical for the official would have a whistle on a play like this. But with the restarts in the game of basketball, it's important to understand that they are a special set of rules and restrictions, but those only apply during the restart. So when does a jump ball start? When does a jump ball end? Did that during that period between the start and the end, did something illegal occur? That's what we need to understand with the restarts because, again, they're only a special set of rules that only applies for a limited amount of time, and that time could be very brief. So a jump ball begins when the tossing official, releases the ball. That's when the jump ball restrictions start, and when the jump ball ends, those restrictions are no longer in place. By rule, when the ball contacts the floor, an official, or either basket, at that moment, the jump ball has ended. So in this instance, when the ball contacted the official, at that moment, the jump ball had ended, the restrictions had ended on that play. So in this instance where the officials ruled a violation when actually the jump ball had ended, were the officials correct? Yes or no? No. No, they were not. This is a legal play by rule. Jump ball and jump ball restrictions had ended on this play, and this should be ruled a legal play by our officials. Let me pause here. Back to that. All right, let's look at our next play scenario. Okay. Give me 1 second. All right, let's take a look at our next play scenario. As the referee is on the upward motion to release the toss, A2 near the sideline in a designed play sprints towards their goal in anticipation of receiving a pass after the tip. The officials ruled a jump ball violation for the player moving prior to the release of the toss. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? Okay, there's restrictions on non-jumpers, right? So this team has a play that's designed for a player to release towards the goal, probably a tap to a teammate, and then a throw ahead to that player. So just as they're on their upward motion, so the ball hasn't even been released, and that player leaves the spot on the floor that they were at, runs towards their goal, the officials rule a violation on the player moving prior to the toss, right? Jump balls are not the most frequent occurrence, restart in the game of basketball, right? They happen about 1.05 times per game on average. Occasionally we'll have a second jump ball for an overtime, but they don't happen frequently. Understanding the restrictions on jumpers and the restrictions on non-jumpers are the things that we have to understand when it comes to adjudicating plays on jump balls. Now, it's an area that maybe we don't focus on, and so we're unsure, etc. It's important to understand that non-jumpers who are not on the center restraining circle, and by on the center restraining circle, meaning they are within 3 feet of the center circle, those players they have a separate set of restrictions. Players who are not on the center circle, there is no restriction whatsoever. They can run around in circles, they can stand on their head, they can do jumping jacks, they can do push-ups, they can run back and forth, waving their hands like they just don't care. There's no restrictions on those players. Sometimes officials, as they approach to initiate a jump ball, will tell players who are not on the center of the circle to, adjust themselves so that they're side by side, right? But there's no restriction on those players. Important to understand that. So in this situation, where the officials ruled a jump ball violation for the player moving prior to the toss, were the officials correct? Yes or no? No. No, they were not. There's no restriction on these players. This would be a fixable scenario. The crew could come and get this and make things right. All right. I want to go there. I want to go there. 2 plays in, 2 incorrect rulings by our crew. What are we going to do? I'm sure the Zooch has pointed that out already. Am I blurry? Oh, yes. Yes, they are. Official is like the floor. Nice. Okay. Les O'Connor, Papa Les is in the house. Huh. The blurry video phenomenon. Interesting. Huh. I don't know why that is. And Billy Mack shares my opinion that the jump ball is outdated as set shot. I like the for me, I like no jump ball to start. It's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I mean, it's always great, for the game to start with energy, and it's certainly great for overtime to start with energy. But if it was done away with, would the game really argue? I don't know. The Zooch has the count. The officials are 0 for 2. But because, like Billy Mack says, they just don't know jump ball rules and restrictions. A lot of officials know everybody knows jump ball rules and restrictions. On the circle. That is absolutely correct, Thomas. So players on the circle, there are different restrictions. Doesn't mean they can't move. In that same situation, the official is going to toss the ball, and a player on the center circle goes off the center circle. They move back 6 feet in anticipation of their teammate batting the ball and winning the jump ball. Is that player violated? No. No, they haven't. That's a legal activity by a player within 3 feet of the restraining circle. So, that is a thing. What can the jumpers do to obtain control of the ball? Well, a restriction on a jumper is they cannot touch the ball more than twice prior to the jump ball ending. And then once the jump ball ends, they can gain control of the ball. So in our initial scenario, the jump ball ends when it hits the official in the head and bounces high. Jump ball would end if it hit the floor, right? And then since it's ended, they are no longer a jumper, right? They are just a basketball player. What can the basketball player do? So understanding the impact of the starting and stopping of the jump ball restrictions is really the key. I assume that I'm going to take that as being the video quality is crystal clear. Huh. Interesting. Interesting. Yep. Don't know what you mean by that. Oh, Facebook user. All right, so we're live streaming both to YouTube and Facebook. Unless you grant permission to Ecamm with a link that I didn't provide you, I can't see who the Facebook group, user is. So if you want to give me a shout out and let me know, that would be awesome. Oh, I don't know. Yeah. Huh. All right, Tim, what is on line number 3? put your comments in the chat. I can't even see it. No, there's no way you can see line number 3. That's me at the doctor's office. Okay, awesome. All right. Now, what does Greg need to do? What does Greg need to do? He's in good shape. Good shape. Good shape. All right, 2 jump ball plays in. Let's look at another jump ball scenario. On the jump ball to start the game, A1 bats the ball backwards, where A5 and B5 both simultaneously control the ball, resulting in a held ball ruling. The officials rule there will be another jump ball with A5 and B5 as the jumpers. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? So we got 2 jumpers. They go up, they bat the ball. 2 other players on the court, 2 opponents of each other, both grab the ball and gain simultaneous control of the ball. The officials rule a jump ball in this instance, right? We often use the language held ball, but we're ruling a jump ball in this instance. Who will perform the subsequent jump ball? Now, I know that there's some confusion because of a language change in the note accompanying the rule on this, but the rule has not changed. It's the 2 players who are involved in the held ball, jump ball situation, not the original jumpers. There's been no change, National Federation of High School Basketball rules. So in this instance, where the officials ruled that A5 and B5 would be the jumpers, were the officials correct? Yes or no? Indeed. Indeed, they were. That is the correct ruling on this play. There has been no change, National Federation of High School Basketball rules. The players involved in the previous action, meaning the A5 and B5 holding the basketball, will be our jumpers in this scenario. All right, how about one more jump ball play? Let's go. As the referee is preparing to enter the circle for a jump ball, they notice that B2 is standing in front of A2 near the free throw line. The referee instructs the 2 players to stand side by side. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? To me, this is probably the most common misunderstanding about jump ball rules and restrictions. And I don't know if it came from far off times where the rules were different, but of course, players who are not on the center restraining circle, as we've discussed previously, the center restraining circle is 3 feet from within 3 feet of that center restraining circle. These players are at the free throw line. They are far away from the center restraining circle, understanding that those players have no restrictions. Oftentimes when we enter the circle and we feel like we're getting started in the game, we want to get things started right, etc., we don't want to miss anything, and our energy may be misdirected, and we think, no, everybody on the court has to be side by side. Just understand these players have no restrictions. They could be doing a little do-si-do together with their arms interlocked, moving in circles, repositioning on each other. They don't have to be stationary. There's no restriction on their positioning on the court. Critical to know that in order to get plays right. So in this instance, where the officials instructed those players who had no restrictions on their position on the court, that they must change their position to become some sense of legal. Were they correct, yes or no? No, they were not correct. This is incorrect. Does it have a big impact on the game? No, it doesn't. But it is incorrect by rule. Ay, oy, oy. So sad. The Suits. Our crew is struggling. Kamali Rowan in Atlanta. Did you vote yesterday, Kamali? Did you endure the Georgia voting ordeal? Well, I love a good toss. I love a great jump ball. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's true. It's true. But in most instances, sometimes it's like the players are so passive. You get some games where it's like, are you ready? Are you ready to jump? Like, give me some energy. Give me some pent up energy as I get close, and maybe I have to move you back just a little bit. But I've had good tosses this year myself. I have to say, they've been tall. I have a video that I looked at the other day on my Hall of Shame list where my toss was so humorous. Let's put it that way. Anemic and to the left. Oh. Willowbrook's here, checking in the middle of the Mitten State. Mitten State. That's got to be Michigan. Michigan, right? Dave, we are going to fight. We are going to fight. The case play has not changed. No, it doesn't say previous jumpers, right? It's important to understand. The rule says players involved in the previous action. And why that change was made, I don't know. I know it was on your test. I assume by you saying it was on our test that the answer given in Minnesota was something different. It's sort of why I wanted to highlight this, because I know that there's some confusion about it, but the rule has not changed. A5 and B5 would be the jumpers in this situation. And like I say, we're going to arm wrestle. We're going to fight that one out. Yeah. Let me, yeah. Huh. I hear you. I hear you. Dave, tell me if you, has your state said that the rule has changed? Is that like an official interpretation or an official result on the test? Let me know that. Dave has hops, had hops. Wow, where are we at now? What do you got? Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. The Achilles, the aged Achilles say don't do that. Don't do any vertical tests. All right. Awesome. Okay. Okay. All right. Give me a sec. Give me a sec. Okay. Mm-hmm. Boy, I'm nervous. I'm nervous. This is like a key moment in the show. Yeah. Hey, I've got a tremendous group of show supporters, and I'd like to give a huge shout out to them. We have the show supporter big board today features Greg Becker, Bob Lloyd, Andrew Spigner, Randy Wilson, and Richard McGuire. Much appreciated and much love. You want to support the show? We'll always have a link down in the show notes below. And you know I'm going to do it. I'm going to put a link above. Awesome. All right, let's move on now to our very next play scenario. A1 is at the free throw line for the first of a 1-and-1. While performing her habitual dribbles prior to the release, she accidentally allows the ball to deflect off of her foot into the lane where it rolls into the leg of B3 in a marked lane space. The officials sound a whistle and rule a free throw violation on A1. Play will resume with an AP throw-in on the end line. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? Okay, got to think this one through, right? It's the first of a 1-and-1. Player inadvertently dribbles the ball, bounces off of her foot, just like an interrupted dribble within the game. She has lost control and no longer has the ball. The ball is rolled into the lane. The officials rule this to be a free throw violation. Are they correct in that? And are we adjudicating properly? If it is a free throw violation, what happens next, right? It's the first of a 1-and-1. If we have a violation by the throwing team, the shooting team here, the free throw will have ended. How would the game be resumed, right? So we have to determine that as well. So by rule, this is a free throw violation for the thrower losing control of the ball, being unable to retrieve it. They would have to, step. If they had just lost the ball a couple of feet in front, they may be able to retrieve it, and they'd still be under the restriction to release the throw within 10 seconds. But in this instance, since it's out of their reach, they do not have that option, and it is a violation. And the correct adjudication in a situation where there are no subsequent free throws, since this was the first of a 1-and-1, the correct ruling here would be go to the alternating possession arrow in this instance for the resulting throw-in at the spot nearest to where the violation occurred. So, since the officials had that ruling on this play, were our officials correct? Yes or no? Indeed, indeed. Yes, they were. Officials are correct. We got one right. We're feeling good. The case references are available at the bottom of the screen, rules and case references on our plays today. It's important to understand in free throw scenarios what the rules and restrictions are, obviously, but also what happens next. And sometimes those things can be a little non-intuitive. We have a violation. We're, for a moment set back. Know that in this instance, when there are no subsequent free throws, have I screwed up? Hold on. I thought I read all the case plays. Ay, ay, ay. Let me just review one more time. This is a violation by the thrower. The officials resume with an AP throw-in on the end line. I think I've screwed this play up before. Ay, ay, ay. I'm going back. No, I'm not going back. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go here. I've screwed this play up before. It's amazing how consistent I am. When I do a play over again, I still make the misinterpretation on the ruling. Obviously, this is a violation by the thrower. The ball would go to the opponent, not an AP throw-in. I apologize. Thanks, Mike. Ay, ay, ay. Oh, I see. Okay. All right. AP throw-in, right? We have a violation by the thrower. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Austin. But he said it with conviction. I said it with conviction. Oh, I absolutely remember screwing this play up before. That's amazing. Amazing. So I have a couple of options here, and this is what I'm going to do. Give me just a second. Boom, boom, boom. I'm going to go here, here, here. I'm going to go here, 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 here. So in this instance, our thrower has violated. What's the penalty for a thrower violating? Ball to the opponent at the spot nearest the violation. That's the penalty. In this instance, there are no subsequent free throws, so that violation would yield a throw-in to the opponent nearest to the spot. So in this instance, where the officials ruled an AP throw-in should result, were the officials correct? Yes or no? No. No, they were not. Some officials get this wrong. Some officials, when they see this rules question. And this crew got it wrong. The result would be a throw-in by Team B at the spot nearest the foul on the end line, designated spot throw-in, and that is the way it's going to go on that one. All right, let's move along to our next free throw scenario. Prior to A1's 2 free throws following a technical foul, the Team B coach tells their 5 players to stand directly behind the thrower and behind the three-point line. The officials instruct the players to move back to the division line. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? This is a common misconception that officials have. You see it often. And the impact of that misconception leads the stakeholders in the game, since they've been instructed in the past, to naturally go to the division line, feeling that that is the obligation of those players. Just like in the jump ball situation we had earlier, understanding which players have restrictions on their location or their movement and what those restrictions are. If you are not the thrower and you are not a player in a designated a marked lane space, then your obligation is to be behind the three-point arc and above the free throw line extended. And that is your only obligation. There's no obligation in this situation for players to be at the division line or not be at the far end line or what have you. They are perfectly entitled to that spot on the floor in this instance. Just understand that players who are not the thrower and not in marked lane spaces, what are the restrictions on those players? If we know that, then things get really easy. Outside the three-point arc and above the free throw line extended. Simple and straightforward. So in this instance, rather than do that, the officials erroneously instructed our players that they must be at the division line for these technical foul free throws, and our officials were not correct in this situation. A common misconception, something that we see more often than not. No. After the split screen. How about that? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I have some control. Oh. Yay. Yes, I was within the correctable error time frame. I recognized before I left the scenario. Oy. Kamali, correct. Not in marked lane spaces. Don't have that restrictions. Same as normal. I'm surprised. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. There has been no shortage of coffee consumed this morning. No shortage whatsoever. All right. How about another free throw case play scenario? Let's take a look. All right, let's take a look at another free throw scenario. A1 is shooting the first of a 1-and-1 bonus. A4 and A5 are positioned in the first two marked lane spaces near the end line, and B4 and B5 are positioned in the second two marked lane spaces. The incorrect alignment is recognized by the officials just after the successful try goes through the basket. The officials rule a simultaneous violation and disallow the goal. Play will resume with an AP throw-in on the end line. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? Okay, what do we have here? We have an incorrect alignment. Of course, during free throws, we are always at tendency to disconnect from the game, to take a little moment for ourselves, because there's not much going on. There's basically only one player playing basketball. Our thrower is going to try in this situation. We relax. Players go to spots on marked lane spaces. We're not paying attention. They are in the wrong spaces for whatever reason, right? They ended up there, and this is illegal by rule and would potentially make this a simultaneous violation, canceling the free throw. But it's important to understand this is one of the three restarts in the game of basketball. When does the restart start and when does the restart end? In this instance, when we have a thrower, we bounce the ball to the thrower. They catch the ball. The ball has become live. The free throw has started. When does the free throw end? It ends with the ball becoming dead. It ends with the ball passing through the basket, or it ends when the try is obviously not going to be successful. So on this play, in this situation, by rule, the free throw has ended when the ball passed through the goal. And since the free throw had ended, our ability to assess a violation has ended as well. So in this instance, while if we had recognized when the ball was alive at the disposal of the thrower that the teams were aligned incorrectly, then we can rule a simultaneous violation. The ball is in flight. We can rule a simultaneous violation. But once the ball passes through, the free throw and the free throw restrictions have ended, and our ability to make a ruling of a simultaneous violation has ended as well. So in this instance, where the officials, after the goal had been scored, ruled as simultaneous violations, were the officials correct in this instance? No, they were not. Right? We've made a mistake, but our ability to correct, the window for correction has passed in this situation. That's what we have on that play. That is not something you see every day. Yeah, there's a lot to learn, Thomas. But we're working. There's some things that are super important to learn because they're going to be a part of every game, and then there's other super unique situations that are sort of at the outskirts of the rules and can be a challenge, right? In this situation, right? So we can't rule a violation here, but understanding when the fundamental concepts. There's rules and restrictions that apply only during a restart in the game. When does the restart start? When does the restart end? And that's our window for making rulings for violations. And that's pointed out by this case play. And this is a case play 9.1.2 situation B. Casey, tips for young officials when it comes to rules knowledge is focus on Rule 4, focus on live ball, dead ball, focus on status, right? Understanding status. If you have those understandings, what causes the ball to become dead, what causes the ball to become live, etc. What are the definitions, Rule 4, that other rules are built on? That is really how to gain a solid footing on rules fundamentals. Because if you have fundamental understanding, what causes the ball to become live, right? The ball becomes live only during one of the 3 restarts in the game of basketball. What are those? Jump ball. What causes the ball to become live? Release by the official on the jump ball. Free throw. What causes the ball to become live? Ball is placed at the disposal of the thrower. What is disposal of the thrower? We go to Rule 4. Disposal of the thrower is when the ball is handed, they are holding. When the ball is bounced, they catch and are holding. Or in some unique situations, the ball is placed at their disposal by being placed on the floor by the official. Of course, we know after a scored goal, when is the ball at the disposal of the thrower, right? There's case play that says the officials must allow the players a moment to recognize that it is their throw-in and get to the ball, right? And then, of course, that's on a throw-in, right? So understanding those things and building up our knowledge, because we can take those understandings with us onto the court, and then when situations present themselves to us, we are in better position to make accurate rulings because we are empowered by those. And something we do here, of course, with Basketball Rules Expert, is we basically sort of try to bring plays to life, very much casebook-oriented play scenario, try to envision the play and what are the rules that come into play in making accurate rulings on the play. Not everybody is going to be able to look at words on a page and have the understanding, have it bring that to life. And so that's what we like to try to do here in this scenario. All right, let's take a look now. Yeah, let's take a look at our next play scenario. A1 is at the free throw line to attempt a final free throw. Just prior to the release, the ball slips in A1's hands slightly, and they stop their attempt. B3, in a marked lane space, steps into the lane. Opponent steps into the lane. The officials rule a delayed violation on B3. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? Okay, players at the line, right? Pre-shot routine, doing all this stuff. They go to begin their attempt, and the ball slips slightly in their hands, and they stop their attempt. The opponent, in a marked lane space, anticipating the release, right? These players are all sort of at the starting line. They're trying to anticipate the timing of the release so that they can compete for the rebound in this situation. This is the final free throw attempt, so everybody on the lane is usually, high energy in that situation. Right? And they step into the lane, but the player has not completed their motion. They have essentially fooled that player in a marked lane space into violating, right? So what is our ruling on this play? We know that a thrower is not allowed to intentionally fake a free throw and achieve that same reaction of the player anticipating their release and stepping into the lane, right? They're not allowed to fake. But has this player faked, or has this player taken an action that was involuntary? And the result was that the player violated. So this is a relatively unique scenario, but it's important to understand here that the liability for not violating in this instance does lie with the player in the marked lane space. They are responsible to ensure that the thrower has released the try before they enter. As unfair as it may be in this situation, our correct ruling would involve a delayed violation. Of course, this allows the free throw to continue. The result of the free throw will determine what happens next. If the throw is successful, if the try is successful, rather, the result will be an end-line throw-in. If the try is unsuccessful, a replacement free throw would be awarded. So in this instance where the officials did have a delayed lane violation as their ruling, were the officials correct? Yes or no? Yes. Yes, they were. That would be the correct ruling in this instance. Unfair as it may seem to B3, right? They did everything right, but our guidance per rule is delayed violation in this instance. That's what our delayed violation is. Dad, boot, I go there. No, I go there. I go there. Okay, hold on one sec. Okay, I'm excited. I'm excited. Ooh. Second. Here at A Better Official, we're super fortunate as we have an elite production crew working with us.
It's go time.
Go Time Productions, Gus and Oliver here for every broadcast, making everything run smoothly, creating high-quality video content. You may not be as fortunate and may have to rely on, you may not have your own production team like I do, but one way to have a great video broadcast yourself, a great association meeting, etc., is to use Ecamm Live, the #1 live streaming software for Mac. I will put a link in the show notes for a 14-day free trial. That went really poorly. Oh, I'm supposed to do that. Oh, yeah. I'm going to do it again. You know why? Because I can. Hey, I'm really fortunate myself to have an elite production team working with me. Gus and Oliver. Go Time Productions, producing high-quality video content so that we have a tremendous show for you. You may not be as fortunate and have that elite production team. So what I can recommend is trying Ecamm Live, the #1 live streaming software for Mac. I will put a link to a 14-day free trial in the show description below. Enhance your Zoom calls, your meetings, etc. with high-quality video production, and you can do that with Ecamm Live. Let's take a look. Man, I was so close. Let's take a look at our next play. No, I'm done with the play scenarios. That's right. Yes. Officials are sleeping. Well, Thomas, you ask yourself if you are completely focused during each and every free throw attempt. It's something we have to. Oh, that would be the previous play. We're always potentially victims of taking a little me time. That's right. Okay. Absolutely, Mike. Yeah, NFHS Network. So what I did over the weekend was I identified all of the schools that have NFHS Network that do all their games in my area. And so I do games for 2 associations. There's probably 15 schools total out of maybe 100 schools. So not every school does it, but it's an easy way to get video. And of course, if you want to get your game video, which is critical, I have a video, and I'll put a link here where you can get access to that and how to get video from coaches, a simple and professional way to request your game video from coaches. I will put that link in the show description as well. Oh, look at me. Look at me. What's the discount, Mike? I'm not familiar with the discount. I mean, I'm paying like $10.95 a month. And do we need it for the year round? No, we don't. Gotcha. Not a fake. Not a fake. We will score the goal and make the adjustment. Uh-oh. What was the request, Ted? I apologize. I'm a little disconnected. So I guess you're going to have to ask it a third time. But do let me know. Is that referred to NFHS Network for a year-round subscription? Please let me know if that's the case. I would really, really, really like to take advantage of that. Okay, it's the third time's a charm. I'm not seeing. Let me look. I can do a little search. See no such restriction. I'm not seeing it, Ted. Ay. Apologies. All right, cool. Okay, that and that. All right, let's move on now to some different play scenarios. Let's take a look at our next one. During a throw-in after a scored goal, A1 picks up the ball, steps out of bounds, turns, and then fumbles the ball inbounds so that it bounces on the court. A1 then quickly recovers the ball while they are still standing out of bounds. A1 then passes the ball to A2 standing inbounds. The officials rule a throw-in violation. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? Well, the player picked up the ball, stepped out of bounds, turned to make a throw-in, lost control of the ball. It bounced once on the court, but they retrieved it and then released a throw-in pass. Right? That's legal, right? What have they done wrong? Right? That's the question on this play. Understanding thrower restrictions is critical to adjudicating throw-in plays. Now, what do we know about throw-in plays? Throw-in plays, of the 3 restarts in the game of basketball, jump ball occurs wildly infrequently. Once, maybe twice, possibly a third time in a game. Very infrequent. Free throws are very static, right? Nobody's moving. One player is taking action, right? Those are free throws. Now, throw-ins, there's a frenzy of activity. There's high energy in throw-in situations, and you will see wild things occur during throw-ins that you didn't anticipate. There's a lot going on. Really understanding throw-in restrictions is a high bang for your buck scenario. Understanding throw-in restrictions. I will put a link to a full playlist on throw-in rules and restrictions, National Federation of High School Basketball rules. If we understand that what we're looking for, what is illegal, then we are in a great position as officials to adjudicate plays properly. So on this play, in this situation, the throw-in has begun when the player stepped out of bounds, turned, right? We would expect a count by the official. Once the throw-in begins, there are restrictions on throwers. They may release the ball onto the court, which occurred on this play, but they cannot then be the first to touch as they were on this play. Thrower, there's many restrictions. They cannot carry the ball onto the court, meaning they cannot step onto the court in a throw-in situation. Can they step on the line? Yes, because the line is out of bounds. The court is inbounds. So these are the things that we have to know. So in this situation where the thrower, though it was inadvertent, released the ball onto the court, do they have the ability to then contact the ball and re-begin their throw-in? No, they do not. So in this instance, where the officials ruled a throw-in violation, were the officials correct? Yes or no? Indeed. Indeed they were. This is a correct ruling on this play. This is a throw-in violation by rule. Okay. Let's take a look at our next play. No. Let's take a look at our very next throw-in play scenario. During an alternating possession throw-in after the ball is released by A1, B2 intentionally extends a leg and deflects the basketball. The officials rule a kicking violation and resume with an alternating possession throw-in. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? Right? So we have a held ball. Got a held ball ruling on the court. We're going to have an alternating possession throw-in for Team A. They're looking for somebody to throw to. They release a throw-in pass. The defensive player extends a leg and contacts the ball. Didn't contact their foot, it contacted their leg. And a kicking violation is ruled. Is that the correct ruling in this play? Of course. Right? You cannot play the ball with your leg or your feet. So we have a correct ruling on the play. But what happens next? Right? And this brings up some really important points that I'd like to discuss here. Things that we want to take with us onto the court. Understanding that we want to take with us onto the court. When is the possession arrow switched? That's the first thing. When we have an alternating possession throw-in, when is the possession arrow switched? Actually, I'm not going to discuss that here, right? So in our scenario here, we have an alternating possession throw-in and then a violation by the defensive team. What is the penalty for that violation? If a team kicks the ball, what's the penalty? How do we proceed? We award the ball to the opponent at the spot nearest the violation, right? So our resulting throw-in in this situation is no longer an alternating possession throw-in. It is a throw-in related to the violation itself. What happens to the arrow? Does the arrow change? Understanding when the alternating possession arrow is switched. It's simple, but when does it switched? Right? It's switched when a throw-in ends, and that's what we have to know. Did our throw-in end in this situation? When does a throw-in end by rule? It ends in one of three ways. It ends if the throwing team violates. It ends if it is touched by a player, legally touched by a player in bounds, or touched by a player out of bounds. Did one of those three things occur in this situation? No. No, it did not. So there would be no switch of the arrow, and the resulting throw-in, we know, is as a result of the violation and is no longer an alternating possession throw-in. So in this instance, where the officials, yes, I got you. So in this instance where the officials ruled an alternating possession throw-in would be the result after the kickball violation, were the officials correct? Yes or no? Let me go back. So in this instance where the officials ruled that we would have an alternating possession throw-in after the kickball violation was ruled, were our officials correct in this instance? No. No, they were not. We have to understand in this situation that the resulting throw-in is as a result of the violation, and the alternating possession throw-in never ended. Therefore, the arrow would not be switched in this situation. One thing we can expect in this situation is that there's going to be confusion. There's going to be confusion at the table. We may need to emphasize to our table personnel that we are not using the arrow on this throw-in in this situation if we adjudicate it properly. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. We're working through. We're working through. Oh, okay. Okay. Yes, that is an assumption that is not evident, but yes. All right. So we're hitting 300. Like in baseball, that's like, practically all-star level. Which play are we talking there, Billy? Thomas, you're close. Not an AP throw-in, as the throw-in ended when it touched B. Yeah, that's a bit of a guess. So the two things: when does the throw-in end, and what causes the arrow to be switched? What causes the arrow to be switched is the throw-in ending. Okay, great. So when does the throw-in end? Throwing team violates, legal touch by any player on the court, defensive player taps the ball, offensive player taps the ball, or a touch by any player out of bounds. Throw a long pass to the sideline, player's already got a foot out of bounds, catches the ball, out of bounds violation at that spot, not a throw-in violation, out of bounds violation. So those are the two things to take away from that. Hey, well, sometimes your brand new officials are more connected with the rules book just because they have to be in it. Huh. Mike, I would assume earthquakes are not unusual in Alaska. Similar to, I mean, it's a fresh part of the world. Okay, cool. All right. I'm in great position. And we are in great position for our next play scenario. During a designated spot throw-in, A1 fumbles the ball that rolls several feet away. A1 leaves the designated spot, retrieves the ball, returns to the original throw-in spot, and releases the ball just prior to the 5-second count ending. The officials rule this to be a legal play. Were our officials correct? Yes or no? Well, we know that there's thrower restrictions on a designated spot throw-in on all throw-ins. They must complete their throw. They must release the throw-in pass within 5 seconds. And our player, our thrower, is in a hurry here and wants to accomplish that and does, in fact, release the throw-in pass within 5 seconds. But is their action legal of going to retrieve a ball that they fumbled? First of all, can a player legally fumble the ball in this situation and pick it back up? Can a player out of bounds for a designated spot throw and dribble the ball? Can they bounce the ball with 2 hands? Can they maybe lose control of the ball, pick it back up? All of those things are legal. What is illegal during a designated spot throw-in? Our thrower must maintain 1 or both feet above the throw-in spot. Okay, we're learning. Rule 4, what is a designated spot? Is it a little circle on the floor? No, it's a 3-foot wide area that extends from the court back as far as is feasible in that situation. If there's stands there, maybe very little. If there's bench, maybe very little. If there's a wall that's 10 feet back, that player can move 10 feet back as long as they stay above the spot. 1 of their feet above the spot. This player has left our designated spot to retrieve the basketball, has successfully retrieved it and come back, but that is illegal by rule. They have not kept 1 or both of their feet above that designated spot area. So in this instance, where the officials ruled this to be a legal play, were our officials correct? No. No, they were not. This is a pretty simple violation that we should get each and every time. That player is not allowed to leave that designated spot, retrieve the ball, and return. All right, let's move on to our very next throw-in play. Team A has a non-designated spot throw-in along the end line. A1's long throw-in pass sails over the head of teammate A2 near the sideline in the front court. The officials rule an out-of-bounds violation on Team A and award a throw-in to Team B for a sideline throw-in. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? Okay. Thrower has non-designated. They can move along the end line. They see a teammate down court. They throw a long pass, sails over their head, and contacts the floor near the sideline, let's say in the front court here. Yeah, in the front court. The officials rule this to be an out-of-bounds violation. Ball to the opponent at the spot nearest the out-of-bounds violation. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? That's our question on this play, right? Super simple to understand. What are the restrictions on the thrower? They must release a throw-in pass onto the court. In this instance, we have failed to achieve that by throwing the ball in a fashion that does not contact a player inbounds or out of bounds in this situation. So, if a throw-in pass sails over the court in this situation and is not touched by any player, this is actually a throw-in violation. Okay, it's not an out-of-bounds violation, the penalty for which is throw-in at the spot of the out-of-bounds violation. Anytime we have a throw-in violation, the throw-in spot for the opponent is at the spot of the throw-in. So in this instance, where the officials ruled an out-of-bounds violation and a throw-in at the sideline, were our officials correct on this very simple play? No. No, they were not. Sometimes we could be confused, like the official who was administering the throw-in, or in this instance was, let's say, the trail, is not aware whether the ball was touched or not as it sailed over the head. We would expect information to come from the lead. We may ask, hey, was that touched? In the absence of a touch in this situation, we would have a throw-in violation. All right, moving on, another throw-in play. Let's go. After a made basket by Team B, Team A is granted a timeout. On the ensuing throw-in, all 5 Team A players are lined up off the court behind Team B's end line when the official wants to administer the throw-in. The officials allow this configuration and rule that this is legal. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? Wow. Right, we're seeing more of this play, right? Understanding the situation is critical here. This is after a made basket. Team requests a timeout. They go and design a play. Maybe this is an end-of-game situation. After a scored goal, what are the restrictions? We know that during a designated spot throw-in, one player is the thrower, and they are at the designated spot, and no other teammate, no other player can step out of bounds. That's one of the restrictions. But after a scored goal, that restriction does not exist. A teammate can step out of bounds during a non-designated spot throw-in legally. One player can, 2 players can, 3 players can. There's no restriction, no requirement after a made basket, a scored goal, for a non-designated spot throw-in. There's no requirement that players need to be on the court. So in this instance, the officials ruled this to be a legal configuration. Like I say, we're seeing more of this as teams imitate plays from other levels. In this instance where the officials ruled this to be a legal play, were the officials correct? Yes or no? Yes. It is legal because there is no restriction against those players being out of bounds during a non-designated spot throw-in. What are the restrictions? This team could pass the ball between each other, right? They can go one end to the other, but the main restriction is that our throw-in has to be released within 5 seconds. And if we know that, we are ahead of the game. All right, this is a juncture. Hold on. Hey, thanks for joining us today. Before we go, Hey, thanks for joining us today for the Basketball Rules Expert. Before we go, allow me to thank our tremendous show supporters that fuel our broadcast. Greg Becker, Bob Lloyd, Andrew Spigner, Randy Wilson, and Richard McGuire. Much appreciated and much love. You want to support the show? I'm always going to have a link down in the show notes below. And as usual, I will put one. Where am I going to put it? Am I going to put it over here? Over here? No, I'm going to put it right here. Awesome. We have additional video content, which I'm going to show you in just a moment. I'm going to go here. Hey, I have additional video content available here. There's a masterclass on throw-ins, rules and restrictions, masterclass, free throws, rules and restrictions. Make your choice, choose wisely. We'll see you then in the very next video. Take care. Okay. Turn that off. That's going to work. That's going to work. Oh, taking California down a notch. Yes, that makes complete sense. That makes complete sense. Michael Hogg in the house. Excellent. Good to see you, Michael. Oh, finish Christmas shopping. Holy cow. All right, Thomas has a play. A1 dribbling, stops dribbling, guarded by B1. A1 slams the ball down. It bounces high and catches the ball. Oh, like a power dribble, two hands. Is this a technical foul? So, Thomas, what's going on in this situation, right? They're being guarded. We wouldn't expect any sort of action of throwing the ball down in frustration. They may be, under pressure, have involuntary action that makes the ball bounce high. So I think technical foul is pretty much off of the table. The technical foul for bouncing a ball hard is related to, as it is in response to a call or frustration, etc. We could have a player who bounces the ball very hard, like with a power dribble situation. So a technical foul would seem unlikely. But they are dribbling, they stop dribbling, they slam the ball down, it bounces high, and they catch the ball, right? They voluntarily release the ball after terminating their dribble. That would constitute a second dribble. What are they then now not allowed to do, right? They're not allowed. What would constitute the dribble would be the touching of the ball again a second time. If they touch the ball or catch the ball in that situation, it would be illegal dribble. Such, invariably, our crews on this show are really not very good. Come on now. Pick up a rules book. Here's one now. Wow, never seen that. As evidenced by one of my rulings earlier. All right, so lucky 13, they got up to 4 and 9. They're in the Hall of Fame if they're a baseball player. Thomas, on a designated spot throw, and they cannot have any other teammate of the thrower cannot be out of bounds. So, in doing so would be a violation. So they cannot have 5. They cannot have 1 out of bounds with them in additional. Okay, we can do correctable error. Absolutely. Everybody's favorite. Kamali, we will see you Friday. We'll have great plays, and we may have a show with some cohesion. It's coming together. It's always the transition points along the way. We'll see how many redos I have on Friday. Hey. Thanks, Ted. Thanks. Darwin dropping an additional Go Blue. Appreciate you, Chris. I see what you did there, Chris. No official is immune from making mistakes. I see what you did there. Yes. I mean, we have to, when it comes to rules adjudication in unusual scenarios, obviously we have to do it as a crew. We have to do it as a crew. Um, I had a couple of plays over the weekend where I'm communicating something to my crew and they say, well, hold up. Shot clock reset situation, national NCAA women's. My young partner helped me get that right. Right? We do things as a crew. We do things as a crew. Always have to recognize that. And we always have to recognize as well, we are the young official on the crew and our veteran partner does something that makes us think, wait a minute, I know that's wrong. And being willing to put our voice into the situation and let the partner know, hey, partner, this is what the ruling should be. And doing it in an effective way that our veteran partner takes the information, light bulb turns on, and they say, oh my gosh, thank you, absolutely, you are 100% correct, etc. And that takes experience, it takes trial and error, it takes dealing with partners. You do that in the game. Hold on one second. You do that in the game, and some partners are going to say, hey, young buck, I got this. I know the ruling, right? They're unwilling to accept. Of course, if you are that veteran partner and you are unwilling to accept, that's a reflection on you, right? Take the information, give it a moment's thought, right? If you work other levels and now you're working a high school game, recognize, wait a minute. Thanks for slowing me down. I may have a little disconnect with high school rules in this situation. So that is critical. Oh, it sounds like Willowbrook's got a play scenario. Sounds like maybe we had a player who was illegally equipped to start the game, told to leave the visual confines. Oh boy, sounds messy. I missed the original. Okay. Okay. So we have a player who's a designated starter who is illegally equipped. They need to, in order to become legally equipped, because they have an illegal T-shirt, National Federation of High School rules, they must leave the visual confines and become legal. We've got a few variables here. Designated starter, right? Designated starter always has to start the game, right? Designated starter injures themselves during warm-ups. Designated starter becomes ill. Coach says they're not able to continue. Designated starter can be replaced by rule. Obviously, if a player is illegally equipped, they cannot participate. In this situation, the replacement of that player for that reason would override the requirement that that player must be a starter in the game, as we have prevented that player by doing that. The other situation is the team, it may not delay the start of the game by more than 1 minute, right? So we could, in this situation, say, here's what needs to happen. You need to get legal. You need to leave the visual confines. You need to return within 1 minute. And to do so, then you can play, right? It's an unusual situation. We sort of look for guiding principles, right? Designated starter does not have to start the game. There's reasons why they may not. So that's what I have on that play. I'd be interested what others have. I assume you mean wasn't a designated starter in per the scorebook. I assume they were in the book. Well, there's some truth to that, maybe. 13 play. I think I had like 18 last week. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And you absolutely have to check yourself. Right. So what I had over the weekend was I had a very young partner. She's 7 games into her collegiate career. And what was great is that she was operating from a position of her understanding when we had shot clock situations, and in sort of plays that came up in the game. And she was not deferential. She's like, here's my understanding of what we have on this play. And I'm willing to listen to your understanding that we need to correct the shot clock, etc. But I'm not like going to you and say, what do we do here, right? Working from that position of understanding. That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. As a veteran official, you want your young officials to not defer like, I can't, he knows everything. So even though I think this is the situation, I'm not going to say anything. You don't want that behavior. But by the same result, we have to encourage others to not have that behavior by being willing to listen to what they have, right? They may they have a misunderstanding. Oh, that only applies to a dribbler backcourt to front court or what have you, right? But we have to listen to their input and encourage that input, because we, as a crew, we go out. It's like we want to have an understanding between the crew. Hey, if you're uncomfortable about how we're about to administer something, slow the game down. Slow the game down. Express your concern, right, so that we can avoid getting something wrong. We have to adopt that as a veteran official. And some are resistant. Some are resistant, and that's what puts additional pressure on young officials to speak up when they think something. I would say that is correct. There would not be an administrative technical foul in that situation for the designated starter not starting the game. That's what I have. Oh, awesome. Awesome. Okay. Well, my background stayed on the second time. Ay. All right. Well, I am off to do work for which I am gainfully employed. I hope everybody has a great day today. We will see everybody on Friday. Oh, wait a minute. Did you miss that part? Ecamm Live. This is the #1 live streaming software for Mac. There's a free 14-day trial in the show description below. Yeah, Ecamm Live. It's phenomenal. Allows you to do interviews. Allows you to do many production things. Text on the screen. Lots of camera overlays. Animated stuff. All of the things that, fortunately, I don't really have to do because I have an elite tech team at my avail.
It's go time.
Gus and Oliver doing all of the things. So I don't have to actually use any live streaming software. That is one of the most challenging rules restrictions because we don't have our ability to necessarily control that behavior, and we can recognize that behavior. Do we see it, etc.? But NFHS, I guess, is very clear that they don't want players taking off their uniform tops in that environment. All right, let's go. Okay, all right. So I'm going to get to editing this show. Hopefully my construction of the show will make that editing process earlier or quicker, and we will see. But I will see everybody on Friday. We'll go back at it with 5 Play Friday. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Hope you have a tremendous day. I hope you have great games between now and then, and keep it safe and fair out there. Yeah?
Bye.